Hello YouTube, it's your boy Scoot Reacts back at it again with another reaction, and today we're going to be reacting to Professor Yang predicts United States will lose the war against Iran or Iran. But look, this is what I want to tell y'all before I get started in this reaction. Professor Yang is not a fucking time traveler or anything like this of this sort, right? He literally understands using context clues and actually being able to refer to pattern recognition. Just like how I said that there were going to be terrorist false flag operations against countries that this country wants to have wars with, is genuinely pattern recognition. It's literally pattern recognition. These people are not fucking in the hindsight of every... These people, I'm not saying that Professor Yang is not intelligent. I'm not saying that, right? But he understands pattern recognition. And so do I. So this is not a surprise to me when it comes to what he's predicting. We have a lackluster army. We have people that don't want to fight the wars that, you know, our politicians want us to fight. Because there's no real fuel for this specific war. You know why? It's because it's just oligarch war. This is just war for money. This isn't war just to be just for the protection of a country. This is an invasion. Most of the time it's always an invasion, mostly, well, especially when it comes to the United States and its wars that is implicated in the coups that they execute and all of the missions that they execute in foreign nations. Why? Because they want to extract resources. This is pattern recognition. Another war is always going to start, and the kickstarter of the war will always be some type of false flag operation on its civilians. So you could justify a war against other people, other nations, other countries that you want stuff from, whatever it may be. But let's jump into it, y'all. Let's jump into it.
All right, guys, we've got yet another heavy hitter guest and first-time guest on the show, Professor Yang. He is the star of the popular YouTube channel Predictive History. He uses game theory to analyze past, current, and...
Come on, bro. It's cross-referencing and pattern recognition.
...to predict...
It's not a fucking... You know what I'm saying? This is just common sense. Y'all is just dumb as fuck. Y'all is just dumb as fuck.
Future geopolitical events, and he joins us now. Professor, great to have you.
Good to see you, sir.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. So, you know, for people who aren't familiar with your work, I wanted to show folks that back in 2024, you made 3 big predictions. 1, that Trump would win. 2, that he would start a war with Iran. And 3, that the U.S. would lose that war. Let's take a listen to that.
Yep.
In this class this semester, I'm making 3 big predictions, right? First is that Trump will win in November.
I mean, that was a given, you know? It was a given. The president that at that time was a president that was already dead in 2019. So, you know, people aren't going to go for it. And also with the nigga politics on top of Kamala's run, horrible. You had a better chance with Jasmine Crockett.
Second,
in my opinion,
that the United States will go to war against Iran.
Yeah.
The third big prediction is that the United States will lose this war, which will forever change the global order.
Yep.
So obviously that last one is...
You know what the change? You know what the change of the global order is going to be? Russia and China is going to find their way at the top first, and then United States is just it's the next world, is the next third world country. It's literally a third world country. United States is a third world country. Just because it looked good don't mean that it is good. This is a third world. People can't even survive out here right now because the government has been lackluster in taking care of its citizens, and this is what happens. It's going to crash and burn. It's literally, but that's really what it's going to be. Personally, to me, that's what I think.
Not yet come to fruition is quite a stunning prediction. You know, do you
is the war is the end of the war
so far that leads you to sort of stand firm in that conclusion?
Mm-hmm.
So, given my analysis of how the war is progressing, I
Hold on. Let me turn this up.
think that
My bad.
Iran has many more advantages over the United States. The reality is that right now, it's a war of attrition between the United States and Iran. And the Iranians have been preparing 20 years for this conflict. In their eschatology, in their religion, this is a war against the great Satan. They've had many practice runs.
Yep.
Last June was a 12-day war when the Iranians were able to examine and analyze the strike capacities of both the Israelis and the Americans.
Yep.
And they've had a lot of time, 8 months, to prepare fully for this new attack. They, through their proxies, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Shia militias, have been able to really grasp the American mentality, and now they have a pretty good strategy of how to weaken and ultimately destroy the American empire.
Yep.
So what the Iranians are doing is they're waging war against the entire global economy.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are striking the GCC countries. And not only are they striking GCC countries, American bases, but they're going after the critical energy infrastructure of these bases. They blocked off the Strait of Hormuz. And eventually, they will go after the water desalination plants,
Yep.
which is the lifeblood of these nations.
The United States.
Because
Yeah.
they don't
Or
have fresh
most
water
stations.
supply. In fact, the water desalination plants provides 60% of the GCC's water supply.
Yep.
So if a drone, and these drones cost $50,000, if they wiped out a desalination plant in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia,
Yep.
and it's a city of 10 million people, right? They'd be out of water in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah, I'm about to say 2-3 weeks. Yeah.
In 2 weeks. And right now, the Iranians have de facto closed off the Strait of Hormuz, and the GCC gets 90% of its food
Yep.
from the Strait of Hormuz. So I know a lot of people are talking about the disruptions to the global economy, but right now the Iranians are actually threatening the very existence of Saudi Arabia,
Yep.
UAE, Bahrain,
Yep.
Qatar.
Which is good, by the way. This is all good stuff that's happening in the Middle East. I think that a war raging on the most diabolical people on the planet is a good thing. These people have been destroying other people's lives, especially in the UAE, especially Saudi Arabia, especially these in Qatar. These are literally trafficking evil groups of people. That's why they're at the height that they're at. That's why they have the money that they have, because these people are evil. Have you ever realized that the people at the top of specific empires and places are the most vile and fucked up individuals? The most sickest, but the smartest, but the sickest individuals at the height of their careers, right? When you look at Benjamin Netanyahu, he's one of the most evil individuals on the planet, but he's over a whole ethno state. The same thing with Qatar, same thing with the Saudi Arabians, same thing with UAE. These people are sick Arab individuals. I'm not saying that Arabic individuals are evil in nature. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the people at the height of their governments, at the height of riches, if you're a billionaire, if you're a millionaire, you're doing something wrong and vile to other people. It's simple. It's very simple. It's not something that you have to think about very hard. It's not something that you have to sit here and have a critical thinking battle on. You don't have to have that. That's just as simple as that. You don't make money by being a good person. You don't make money by being a nice guy. You don't make money by being a person that gives other people opportunities to win. You don't win like that. You only win by killing other winners. Simple.
And why this is important is that the Gulf states are really the linchpin of the American economy. So what they do is they sell petrodollars, and then they recycle the petrodollars back into the American economy through the investments in the stock.
Yeah, in the stock market. So the thing is that they're funneling money that doesn't even exist on the name of debt. The United States dollar or the petrodollar is a debt-based currency. So that means that it's not tied to any real or any real resource. Nothing to really gauge it off of. So the American government can make it whatever they want to make it. But outside of that, especially with places that have really big gold and silver reserves like Asia and Russia and China, these are going to be the next forefront of the New World Order. Not necessarily saying that they are participating in the New World Order, especially when it comes to central banking systems in the Federal Reserve. These individuals or these places specifically have the resources to back their currency. So you're going to see a flip in currencies. The US dollar isn't going to make much of a difference anymore because it's a petrodollar and it doesn't really have any real value tied to it. Now, if you have real big reserves like gold reserves, gold refineries, silver reserves, silver refineries, you have more things to back your dollar. Your economy is going to be stronger because you have more resources. That's why America has always been so hard struck, so obsessed with taking resources from other places. That's why they're so hard up about it. That's why they start wars in different countries so they could extract those resources and use it to back the petrodollar, to back the US dollar, because there is no real good resources within the United States besides the resources that they steal from other places. Simple. Simple, simple, simple.
Market. And right now, we know that the entire American economy is propped up by AI investments in data centers.
Yeah,
a lot of that comes from
cryptocurrency is all
the Gulf
as well.
States. So if the Gulf states are no longer able to sell oil, and they're no longer able to finance AI, this AI bubble in the United States, then this AI bubble will burst, and with it will burst as well the entire American economy, which is really a financial Ponzi scheme.
Right. Which is really a Ponzi scheme. He's so intelligent. I love how intelligent this guy is. I want to elaborate a little bit further on this because I know that I already said what I needed to say, but I want to put a little bit more of an oomph into it. Is that even after understanding that the U.S. government is a Ponzi scheme, if the U.S. government allowed its citizens to actually be innovative and have ingenuity, we would never be in this position in the first place. But the thing is that you can't have strong individuals in the name of power. So it's either that you're gonna have a good economy based off of ingenuity and creation, and a good, hardworking, thriving society, or you're gonna have docile individuals and you keep playing God. And that's what the U.S. government has done. They want to play God so much that they actually stabbing themselves in the fucking back because they attack the general population. They attack the civilians. They make them sick. They feed them shit so they don't get any better. Over time, everything's going to go on a decline. There's not going to have people. There's going to be people that's not going to want to have kids. There's going to be people that are going to be infertile because of the food that they're feeding us. And also the stuff that they're spraying over the general population when it comes to chemtrails to keep you more docile playing God, but while simultaneously not realizing that there's other places that are thriving way more than the United States. Why? It's because it's encouraged in these different places and they're also being taken care of by their government. That's why you don't see there's a lot of problems in different places, but I'd rather have a striving and strong community with a 40-hour work week and a less stressful life, taking care of a family, and my government is backing me. That has never existed in the name of the United States of America, especially when it comes to the civilians and the citizens of this country. Now, if you ever ask me what could have fixed all of this, is leaving black people alone and allowing them to reach the potential that they already had, instead of dropping bombs on, and flooding cities that were prosperous. We're having a lot of prosperity brewing for black communities, while simultaneously also saying that, okay, these people are thriving, let's let them thrive. Let's not destroy their momentum. They destroyed the momentum of most, if not all, people if not all people, most definitely my people are the most targeted out of the group. But when you start to look at it from that specific perspective, this is something that is a commonality amongst all groups of people within the United States. You can't get too powerful for the United States government because you become a national threat. But the national threat is only a threat to oligarchy and a threat to politicians and a threat to the people that control you. So they do things like coups within your own country. This is something that's already happening within this own country. There's police forces, there's the FBI, and there's the CIA that all work together to stop individuals from reaching the threshold to where you break through and you don't have oligarchs or politicians trying to stop you from being innovative and strong and in the name of ingenuity. That's why this country is in the space that is in now, just simply because of racism. It really just boils down to racism and hate for everybody else besides the people that are already rich. And greed. Racism and greed is the same thing that destroyed this country, but it's also the same thing that created it. You see how that works? Anyways, I'm gonna let this carry on. I'm sorry for
So that's a dire situation that
talking too
Americans are
much.
facing right now.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, sir, an Amazon data center was literally hit in the UAE. And now, of course, big tech companies, which were looking at the UAE as a major potential data center investment hub with cheap and abundant energy, probably going to be rethinking that. We also wanted to talk to you about munitions. We can put this next one up here on the screen. The United States is racing to accomplish Iran mission before munitions run out. This is specifically around interceptor math. There's a famous video just from yesterday in Israel, which shows a single Iranian ballistic missile, which is being targeted by some 11 different interceptors, all of which miss. Most of those come from the United States, not to mention all of the different bases, the GCC.
Yeah, they faking, bro. This is a big talk and a big pop up, especially when it comes to like, oh, we have advanced systems and stuff like that. The systems are not that advanced. Especially if China gets involved, the United States is fucking cooked. If Russia gets involved, the United States is fucking cooked. Same thing with Israel. Israel needs to go anyways in general. I'm sorry for saying the loud part out loud. Israel needs to go. It's parasitic to the United States of America, not only financially, but also when it comes to war. But our politicians are so heavily invested in Israel because, they're fucked up individuals and they're trying to save face and it's not going to work. Iran is going to, do the same thing that Israel has done to Palestine.
Countries that you just talked about, and
which is well warranted, by the way. I'm never going to side with Israel, and I never did, never will. These people are parasitic, and they were kicked out of 109 plus countries for a reason. I think we should have, believed the painter a little bit more, but I wasn't here for that. I probably would have been in some type of, I don't know.
The asymmetry of the cost. It's $1 million for a missile, tens of millions per interceptor in some of these cases. With these munitions running out, how does that change the global picture? So you're in China, obviously, much of the stocks in...
All right, Professor, would you let me, stay with you? I have a wife, I don't have a... But, can I come and stay with you in China? I know that y'all are way more, locked in. Y'all are backed by our government, not necessarily all the way, right? But when it comes to the political side of things, y'all are very strong and headed in the right direction as a group of people. I kind of fuck with that. Just give me an invite. I'll pull up.
Of the United States are likely to have to be cannibalized if this were to go on. How's that going to affect the global picture here?
Right. So my first point is that the United States military is not designed to fight a 21st century war.
Yeah.
Remember, the military-industrial complex came to being after World War II, and it was designed to fight the Cold War.
Yeah.
And the Cold War was really about muscle flexing, about who was able to
who had more power
into space.
Yeah.
Who was the first to get the person on the moon.
Supposedly. I've never seen anybody land on the moon since then.
We had the more complex missile systems. And so the entire American military strategy revolves around very sophisticated technology that costs a lot of money to
Create.
build, and that's
Yeah.
what the American air defense system is basically, and that's why we're seeing this asymmetry, as you point out, in this war. We
Yeah.
have these $1 million missiles trying to take out these $50,000 drones, and it's not sustainable in the long term.
Yeah.
And so what we're seeing is really the puncturing of the aura of invincibility and inevitability that sustained American hegemony for the past 20 years,
Yep.
especially after the collapse.
It's just a fake dome. Like it's not real. This is all big talk, not enough walk. This is big talk, not enough walk. Big talk was big back then, but it's way more advanced now. The big talk is now decimated. It's now over. People were like, the government is the strongest government on the planet. I'm like, bro, China and Russia is right there. China and Russia is damn near way more technologically advanced than the United States. You know why? Because they've been fucking off for the last generation because of racism and greed. That's the only reason why it's like this right now. Because it's a lack of ingenuity. It's a lack of supporting the individuals that fuel your economy. It's a lack of care for the individuals that are in your economy. It's the experiments that they've been running on their own people. The government has been running experiments on its own people instead of giving them an opportunity to help them win. So now it's just stabbing them all in the back.
Of the Soviet Union. And this is really a reordering of not just the global economy, because this signals the collapse of the petrodollar, and with it, the entire US dollar-based reserve currency system, but also the global hegemony of the United States. We're moving towards a multipolar world.
Professor, this morning, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was asked a question about potential ground troops in Iran. He refused to rule out.
Ground troops don't even matter, bro. This is beyond ground troops, bro. You see ground troops out there, they done. This ain't no normal shooting 03, 02 shit. You call in the bombers, they send them. This is some type of different shit. We got shit, orbiting shit. We got shit. We got motherfucking impossible to see planes and drones. Motherfucker, we gotta look out for shit like that. This is nothing compared to the last war. This is way too advanced. You sending motherfuckers out there ain't gonna do nothing but just put bodies out there. Just put bodies out there. The only time that you could put boots on the ground is when you sending motherfuckers out there as sleeper cells. That's the only time that you might have a way of getting some way, shape, or form footwork in, boot work in. You're not gonna get any boot work with troops on the ground. It's not happening. It's not happening. This is all in the air. Literally, this is all in the air. This is all bombs. This is all drones. These are all things that didn't even exist in 03, 04, 05. Not like that much. Not like that much. Like how it is now, we could send some shit from here to there in 30 seconds max. You feel me? You just got motherfuckers hopping off the plane. The plane is finna get destroyed by the same drone that's been following it before it landed.
Possibility. And he said, oh, well, we're not going to project to you what we will or will not do, but we don't want to, rule anything out. We will do what it takes. Do you think that America will end up invading Iran from the ground since it's already becoming?
I mean, they're going to try to. Not sure if it's going to make much of a difference.
Relatively clear they won't be able to accomplish the goal of regime change or even regime collapse using just air power alone.
Right. So everyone says that the worst calamity that could happen in the United States is if it were to send ground troops in.
Yeah, that would be like the worst shit that you could possibly do, bro. This is way too advanced for motherfuckers to be on the ground. We need to start getting motherfuckers up off of R6 and up onto them drones. But you better boost that pay.
Into Iran. At the same time, the United States are committed to regime change in Iran. We've never had a precedent in history where you were able to regime change from the air alone. You need ground troops. And so unfortunately, what's going to happen over the next few months is that pressure will build on America to send ground troops, especially from the GCC countries and from Israel, which are
I mean, bro, but I also think that when it comes to war too, that we're taking troops and saying that there's no decision making for them. What I'm starting to see is that people even inside of the army are like, I'm not even fighting for this country that we're not even supposed to be fighting for anyways. Now, if they're going to do it, I'm not sure. If they're willing to kill for themselves, you know, it's going to be a different conversation, especially when you start talking about trying to send people to their inevitable death. This is exactly what that is. I'm sending you into your death. That's exactly what war is. I'm sending you to your death. Why am I dying? People are starting to look into that shit now. People wasn't looking into it in 2001 when a false flag operation was executed. Those troops weren't looking into it like that. We're way too advanced now, especially up here. Motherfuckers are not going to believe the 25 false flag operations that happened before then. You're not going to expect people to believe in that shit now. People are not going to believe in the false flag operations now. We already know that the last big 3 ones were false flag operations. So now you have to say, are my soldiers willing to die for a country that's not willing to die for them? And this is the type of conversations that I have with people that are in the army, especially a few of my friends, a few individuals that want to go fight in war. I'm like, are you willing to go die for a country that's not willing to fight for you? Are you willing to go fight for a country that's not willing to fight for you? You go to X, Y, and Z, you extract the resources from them, and you come back just to be homeless or just to be in a shelter when you literally created generational wealth for the individuals that sent you to war in the first place? Are you willing to die about that? I think that the soldiers that have half of a brain are going to say, bro, I'm not willing to die about this shit. I'm not willing to die for this fucking country. This country has treated everybody here like shit, spraying us with pesticides and feeding us bullshit and doing false flag operations on its citizens. This shit is cooked. It's over. It's over. It's beyond over, in my opinion, especially when it comes to war. If motherfuckers trying to get me to go into a war, I'm going to die here before I die there. I'm going to die here before I die there. I'm not fighting nobody because of y'all shit. You know? It's fucked up, but that's really just what it is. Greed and racism. It's the same thing that destroyed this country.
being pouted right now by the Iranians. So remember that if the GCC countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, if they go, then the petrodollar goes with them. So
Yep.
the Americans need to protect these countries, and these countries are going to demand that either the Americans bribe the Iranians to cease, and this is like $5 trillion in indemnity, okay? Or send ground troops to wipe out the Iranian threat once and for all. And I know that there's no political will for ground troops to be used against Iran among the
Right.
American people. But remember that 78% of American people was against initial strikes against Iran in the first.
Come on. 78% of your population don't even agree with what's going on right now. You think that they're going to fight a fucking war overseas on the ground when there's fucking drones flying around and dropping bombs on motherfuckers? No. No. No, that's not happening. People are not willing to die that bad about America. Why? Because America fucking shits on its people and treat everybody like shit. That's inevitably what's going to happen. Simple.
Place.
Right. And one of the things that really comes into question, I think, with all of this, sir, when we're looking at the geopolitical picture and the sacrificing in much of this from the United States on behalf of Israel, is kind of a question as to who and what wanted this. We were actually curious for...
Israel wanted it. Duh. Israel wanted to wipe out the Palestinians and they helped with that shit. Which is fucked up because it's an ethno state. It's a rogue ethno state at that. It ran off of blackmailing. That's crazy. That's crazy. Nigga, you just gonna have to take the lick. and be ostracized out of the media, ostracized from society. At least you got money, stay away. Right? You were talking about political figures. These motherfuckers have money. They could go wherever they want to go. But we keep having dumbasses and retards running the fucking nation. And this is the type of shit that happens. Even if it's the Democrats or Republicans, it doesn't matter. We still have oligarchs fueling both sides of the war. We still have the central banking system benefiting from war either way. That's exactly what the JP Morgan Chase is. That's exactly what the 13 Bloodlines wanted. These people are just puppets. These individuals that we think are political figures, these are puppets. These people aren't going to stand up to the billionaires and the trillionaires that run the planet. They're going to shut the fuck up, do what they're told so they can hold on to life a little bit longer, and eventually meet their inevitable death while simultaneously trying to help the individuals that are going to kill them to stay alive longer with the causes of immortality. See how all of these things are tied in?
Your view on a disputed report here from the Washington Post. We can put it up here on the screen, F3. A push from the Saudis. Israel helped move Trump to attack Iran. Now, this has been internally disputed by Saudi Arabia, saying that they did not push the Trump administration to attack Iran. However, this is clearly an authorized leak from our own government, trying to at least lay some of the blame on behalf of the GCC. What do you make of this analysis and of this narrative that Saudi Arabia was also trying to be behind this push to bomb Iran?
So I've always argued that both Saudi Arabia and Israel are heavily invested in regime change in Iran.
Right.
In fact, Saudi Arabia sees Iran as much more of an existential crisis than Israel. Because remember, Israel still has nuclear weapons, and Israel.
Right. They have nuclear weapons, and they never had to sign the treaty or never been checked for nuclear weapons. Never. In its creation, after its creation, John F. Kennedy was pushing for it, and he was killed. You know what happens when people try to encourage innovation and ingenuity. John F. Kennedy is the realest president that there ever was, and he was killed at a young age for a reason. He did not follow the script. We have people that follow the script now. LBJ and everybody after that has to follow the script. You have to follow the script. You don't follow the script, we kill you. Simple.
Israel is a very diverse, very sophisticated economy, whereas Saudi Arabia is completely reliant on oil.
Right.
And it's always had problems with Iran because Iran is a theocracy opposed to the Saudi monarchy. Iran funds and equips the Houthis, which have been antagonistic towards Saudi Arabia for the longest time.
Right.
And right now, the Saudi economy is suffering. It's been trying to pivot towards more of a tourist economy. That's why they brought in Renault.
And that's why they're trying to wipe out Palestine so they can have a nice little peninsula of desert and water. That's really what it is. It's trying to appeal to more people, but most people aren't going to go to these places because of their reputation. No one's really going to want to go to Dubai after realizing what the top people in Dubai be doing to individuals in Dubai. It's the same thing when it comes to the United States. Nobody really wants to visit the United States after realizing that most of its politicians are eating and killing and sexually assaulting babies. Nobody's really going to want to go there. Nobody's really going to want to go kick it there. You know?
That's why they're switching to e-gaming. That's why they're building something called a line, NEOM. And all these things are not working out. So they need to be able to control the oil resources of the entire Middle East if they are to survive and thrive.
And that's why they're wiping everything out in the Middle East so they could try to take as much resources as possible to maintain a petrodollar. Not also saying that, well, while simultaneously keeping up the petrodollar, but also maintaining their economic structure. Because if you lose a big subsection of your economic structure based off of this specific place that you're trying to wipe out and take all of their resources, if they pull a Samson's option and destroy most, if not all, of the Middle East, your economic structure is going to go down the drain. And you're going to have to start at, ground zero.
As a nation. So I do believe that this reporting is credible. even though it does make Saudi Arabia look bad.
Bad.
And
Yep.
remember, Saudi Arabia says that they wanted peace, but they are helping the Israelis and the Americans
Destroy Palestine
attack Iran right now.
and Palestine. By the way, they also invested in the destruction of Palestine. We're not going to pass that up.
Because they're allowing the Israelis and Americans to use Saudi airspace.
So
Yep.
help us understand, because it still feels to me like there's some pieces that don't totally add up. You had, in advance of this war on Iran, you had top military brass up to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying, this is a really bad idea. We are not ready for this. All the math on the interceptors that's been talked about for months at this point. And yet Trump still decided to go ahead. What is the calculus that he was making here?
Desperation. There is no calculus. There's no calculations in this war right now. This is desperation. They're desperate. They have to be. This is what's going on right now. Why? Because instead of investing in the people that already are here, right? Instead of not being so greedy, making sure that the economy is straight and having strong individuals within your community, as in terms of the United States, it is the best guys that you got right now is Nick Fuentes and Sneeko. That's the best guys that you got right now, right? Especially, but not necessarily saying even with the political thinking of minds. These are individuals that are at the forefront of intellectualism in the United States. You see where I'm going with this? These are the people that have very big economic pools, not necessarily economic pools, but like the societal pools, for individuals of strength, right? It's just not going to work, especially people that are willing to fight, really fight over their country. There's not, bro.
That led him,
Bro, we're cooked, bro. We're beyond cooked.
to take what already appears to be catastrophic actions.
Right, okay. So this is the key question. Why do they do this? I think there are three possibilities, okay? And I think all three possibilities are valid.
Okay.
The first is the idea of hubris. If you look at history, this is how empires behave. So the Mindoro kidnapping was quick, successful, and it was adrenaline rush for Trump.
Yep.
And that made him overconfident.
Made him overconfident. You was too. We got his ass. Let's keep going. Think that you got some type of momentum. You're going uphill, buddy. You're not. You're not going downhill. This is an uphill battle.
In the capacity of the American
The
military.
the military. Yeah, no.
Hubris is a factor, and we see this throughout history. Why did Hitler invade Stalin? Because he conquered Europe really easily, and he thought he was invincible.
Yeah.
Right? And that led to the destruction of the German army in the Soviet Union. So hubris is a factor. Then you have to look at internal political calculus, where even though America does not benefit from this war against Iran, Trump himself personally benefits.
Most definitely personally benefits. That's what I'm saying. The greed and racism.
Why? Because the Saudis and Israelis are bribing him to
do it.
attack Iran. Remember that the Saudis invested $2 billion in the private equity fund of
The private equity fund, which is his personal bank account.
Jared Kushner, who is the son-in-law of Donald Trump. And the Israelis, through Miriam Adelson, have been financing Trump's political career, right? So Miriam Adelson, a few months back, said that she will put up $250 million if Trump were to run a third term.
Right.
So Trump is getting a lot of financial and political support from the Saudis and Israelis. Also remember that if this war goes sideways and Trump is forced to use ground troops, he will probably get approval from Congress.
Yeah.
And this will give him emergency war powers, which will allow him to
Extend how long he's going to be in office.
influence the midterms. So Trump is thinking about a third term. And I think at the ballot box, he probably won't get it. But if there's a war going on and you can delay elections and you have emergency war powers and people rally around the flag, then he probably will get a third term. And the last factor that is very important is the eschatological factor, where if you look at the Epstein files, it's clear that we are run by secret societies. It's clear that the world is run by these
oligarchs,
individuals who have a lot of power. We don't know who they are, but they control
The Orsinis, the Rothschilds, the central banking systems, the Windsors, the people out of England. There's also people out of the Middle East. There's also individuals that are very wealthy out of the United States. But these people are puppeteers. These people are over the other people. These people are over the people that we think are over us, right? And that's what I've been trying to get people to understand, is that even with voting, even with your illusion of choice is not going to destroy billion-dollar industries. It's not. You having a vote, you're at the ballot boxes, that's not going to change who they want to have in power. The cat's already out the bag. The cat's is already out the bag. We already understand that there's secret societies running every single country on the planet. You think that you're going to be able to say what you want for a specific nation when they get to choose what they want for your life? This is something that they've always been doing. This is just as open as it ever has been and ever will be. Right? And then over time, we will understand who these individuals are. And we are going to also realize that these people aren't people. These people are people that have been here for hundreds of years, because they're the descendants of Nephilim. They're the descendants of fallen angels. These are the people that are the masterminds, but these are the same people that are playing God over Earth, which is true. You look at these files, it's very obvious that Jeffrey Epstein is just a motherfucking puppet, a small cog in a very big machine, right? A very small cog in a very large machine that's very vast in different countries and in different places, especially when we talk about political pull.
The military, they control the national security apparatus. And these people, there are different names for these people. You can call them the Illuminati.
Mm-hmm.
And the Illuminati are composed of three major groups, okay? You have the Jesuits, who control the Vatican. You have the Sephardim Frankists, which control the modern state of Israel today. You have the Freemasons, which control the national security apparatus of the United States. And they believe that Israel, this war in the Middle East, is key to the end times in creating heaven on earth. So it's
heaven on earth for the oligarchs, not heaven on earth for people of the planet. Heaven on earth is being able to beat mortality. That's why they're so heavy into epigenetics. That's why they're so heavy into genetics, is because they're trying to genetically break the code. If they genetically break the code, that means that they live forever here, which means that they don't have to answer outside of here, which simultaneously creates them to be the god of the material world. That's where they are, and that's where they're trying to stay. So if they could create that, create a new world order, and then force people to be fucking slaves for the rest of their lives without having any initiative for them to exist outside of just working for them, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because you don't even need it's just an apparatus of chasing things that doesn't even exist, especially when we talk about materialism and the United Dollar and the dollars and the money, and these things don't exist outside of our physical thought. We could run things for free. We could make sure that everything is taken care of for free. But, you know, the central banking system and the Federal Reserve created such a chokehold on people in general. Monetary gain is the only thing that people will actually worry about, or their well-being. So you'll be scared to death and you just have to work. And if you're not scared to death just to work, you're going to die. And it's going to be an endless cycle from there. So hopefully we never get to that point, but it seems like they're pretty on track for what they want.
Almost like a script that they're following, even though it doesn't make any geopolitical sense. Okay?
No,
so
not
I would say
people.
that these three are the best reasons why this is happening.
Wow. Well, sir, I hope you come back. This was very informative, I think, for both of us. We deeply appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, if you like that.
Very intelligent. Very, very, very intelligent. This was surgical in his explanation. Professor Zhang, man, you're that guy, man. You're that guy. You're that guy. Anyways, I appreciate you guys for watching this. Scooter the Don, Scoot Lamove, Scoot Reacts. I appreciate you guys for watching. JHM Podcast, wherever I end up putting this. Thank you guys for watching. It's your boy. And I'm out.